Hey, everybody. I want to thank you for checking out today's broadcast. My name is Jonathan. Today is day 167 of my weight loss challenge here. If this is your first time checking out my video, uh, like I said, this is day 167 of my challenge. I have uh, decided, or I last year I had finally decided to do something. I had allowed myself to get over 500 pounds and I knew it was time for a change. And so I started doing these live broadcasts to kind of keep myself accountable and just record my progress along the way. For me, I've had multiple times in my past where I have lost weight, but I just haven't been able to keep it off. And then I end up getting to a point where I look like that at 520 pounds. So this time I decided that I was going to focus mainly on the length of time and not so much the weight. I do have weight goals. I want to lose 300 pounds, but I also know that in order for me to do it right, I'm going to need to do this for a lot longer time than just the time it takes me to lose the weight. And so that's why I've decided to do this for 3 years. Hopefully, after I've done it for 3 years, then it'll become habit and then it just becomes part of, my lifestyle. And that's really what I'm finding so far. And I'm only 5.5 months in. So I'm not even uh, 1/6 of the way through this whole thing. So, but if anybody has any non-scale victories they want to share or anything that they want to kind of say, I'd love to hear. I don't have a whole lot to go over. It's Friday, so I am excited about the weekend, about getting some stuff done at the house. This weekend is going to be much nicer weather-wise than last weekend was. Uh, just yeah, last it's going to be colder this weekend, but it's not going to be as wet. But for me, just kind of an update on how things are going. I continuing to kind of get on the scale. I haven't lost any weight, but I just got on the scale here and I'm exactly the same weight. I think that there might be something wrong with the actual scale. It's not me, it's the scale. Uh but no, it's still saying 353.2, which is great, considering that I am eating uh plenty of food. I'm not, doing a super restrictive diet and so I know, the weight is going to take time to come off because I'm continually processing food and I'm putting food, in my body. And so I'm not doing a heavy restrictive diet that you wouldn't have that much weight, in food or volume of food. Uh, but yeah, so it was, uh, like I said, I've been doing great with it. It's not anything, I'm hoping by this weekend, we get through the weekend and I'm hoping to see a nice little loss when I come back on Monday or when we weigh in when I do the weigh in on Wednesday. For sure, I will see a loss. But, uh, but yeah, so going into the weekend, I am going to be a little bit aware of the fact that I gained weight and I might try not to, or I might try to limit some of the snacking that I might do. It just depends on what we have. I ate all the dehydrated mango, so I'm not going to have that to snack on. My ankle has been feeling better, but I'm still not 100%. I'm not running marathons anytime soon. And just the cold weather in combination with my ankle pain has kept me from doing the walking that I was doing. But eventually, I will get back in to the walks, and I'll be able to, uh, you know, get back get that activity going again. I imagine this weekend I will do a lot around the house doing yard work, so I'll get plenty of activity, and it'll give me a really good chance to work out my ankle and see how it does. Because really, the toughest part for me is when I walk on uneven terrain, like if I'm walking in the yard where there's bumps in the grass or divots, things like that. So that's going to be the biggest test is walking on it and getting it going. But overall, it's feeling good. I would say that I'm mostly back to 100% with my ankle. It just there's just that nagging pain, but the swelling's gone. The mobility is back. That was probably the toughest thing, was that like all that swelling was keeping me from being able to move my ankle around or like point my toe up. Like my toes just wanted to be pointed down. So that's getting better. Carrie's checking in saying, hey, Carrie, I hope everything's going well today. But so that's what's going on with my foot. It's going better. I'm continuing to listen to the book right now. He's talking about liver diseases, and so some of that stuff doesn't. He talks a lot about alcoholism, but then he talks about, you know, complications from being overweight, you know, and liver issues caused from that. Again, I mean, the book, he continues to pull out study after study that is just showing that the whole food plant-based diet is not only better in preventing these diseases, but it also reverses these diseases, you know, many of the diseases that he talks about. And it's just astonishing that we just don't have anybody, or we don't have any, we don't have anybody vouching or pushing for this way of eating or this diet. And it just seems crazy. And it's, you know, we talk about it every time, but it's about the money. Obviously, there's not much money in kale and spinach, you know, and just eating them as whole foods. You know, if there's money, and I think he did talk about it a little bit, in that there's juices that are beneficial, but the nutrition and diet industry gets a hold of that, and they use maybe portions of it to, you know, like, hey, this has got this, you know, this particular ingredient's really high in antioxidants or something else, but they're tearing it apart. They're not giving it to you as a whole food, so you're not necessarily getting it as you're supposed to. But they end up taking what is supposed to be a good drink. I think he might have been talking about beet juices or something like that, but they essentially take it and they add so much sugars and sodiums that they ruin the good parts about it, or you'd have to drink so much of it to get the value out of it. Like he talks about V8 juice. Like there's a couple ingredients in V8 juice that are good, but he's like, but you'd have to drink like 4 quarts of it a day to get the benefit that you could from just eating. I don't know if it was celery or what it was, but it was something where it was something that's an ingredient that's in there, but it's not very much of the overall ingredients in it. So, yeah, the book is just continuing to go over these studies and just these things where it's a lot of things where there's one-off studies, or there's, you know, and so it doesn't show great data, and they can't use it necessarily to prove an individual point. But when you put all of these studies together and pile them on top of each other, it just seems to make much more sense to do this, you know. And it's tough. I mean, it's really tough to switch to this type of diet, because the first thing to do, the one of the first things to do is to get over that mental hurdle of, I have to have meat every day. I have to have dairy every day. Where am I going to get my protein? I was talking to somebody today about it, and they were complaining about something, and I was like, you know, and I say it a lot of times as a joke now, especially like around my family, is if anybody complains about some sort of ailment or whatever, then I will say, well, you should probably switch to a whole food plant-based diet, because that's it cures what ails you, you know. And you know, I might be wrong, and that's fine, but it's one of those, it's a thing where if people switch, they see the light, I feel like, or that they, Carrie's parents, for example, I don't know what, you know, precipitated them to switch over to a whole food plant based diet, but they're really enjoying it. They went on vacation and kind of let themselves slip. And when they came back, I think that they were looking forward to getting back onto the diet and getting away from the old way of eating, or the way they were eating when they were on their vacation. And so, kind of lost my train of thought here, what I was going at with, because uh oh, just switching over and trying to talk to people about it and to like have a serious conversation with somebody, it's tough because you almost, or for me, I have to almost make it a joke or try to add some sort of humor or lightness to it, just so that they aren't offended, maybe, or that they might actually consider it. Like if I would be too stern with it, or too kind of, you have to do this if you want that to happen, I think it would cause people to shy away, and it's just not my approach to things. But uh, yeah, but it's difficult because everybody's got to make that decision to do it on their own. And it was such a weird, the way I even got into it wasn't from a forward facing, like, I'm going to go in, I'm going to decide to do this whole food plant based. Carrie was a little bit more that way. Like, she knew she was going to do something, and she uh switched from eating, she was eating kind of healthier at the time, but not anywhere near what we're doing here. Anthony saying hi, just checking in. Hey Anthony, thanks for checking in. I hope you had a good week, and I hope you have a good weekend here. So when you are, Carrie says, I think once people actually try it, just like us, they realize how much they don't miss the meat and dairy. And that was the first thing I was talking to the guy today, and I said something about, he was complaining, and I said, you switch over to whole food plant based diet. And he kind of did ask me a couple questions, because I think a lot of people, if you say vegan, they have a predetermined idea in their head what that means, or what veganism is. But if you say whole food plant based or plant based, then they kind of like, well, what do you mean plant based, or what is, what? And so you do get a chance to maybe answer a couple questions or help clear up some confusion about the way of eating. Uh, but yeah, that's the first thing that they said was, I just couldn't imagine not eating meat. I couldn't imagine giving up meat. And really, the first response that I have to that, and I think Carrie's kind of the same way, is that it's not the meat you're going to miss. It's the dairy, and the, for us, sodium and salt is something that we obviously miss too, because we're not, because it is helpful in making things taste good. But yeah, so like I said to him, yeah, it just was like, the meat, once you give up the meat for a little while, it's not that tough to give up the meat. Like, and the tougher part is, for me, I would imagine, is the dairy and the eggs. Those things are gonna be a little bit tougher to give up for somebody uh who's just switching over, or going from eating a standard or modern American diet to switch into this type of diet. So I, I'm trying to find ways to try to sell it to people in my life. It's, I'm working on it. For me, the biggest thing that I can do is just live it and do it. And then eventually, hopefully people start coming to me and saying, how are you doing that? And then I can tell them. Carrie says, have them come over to eat at our house. We're hosting a family brunch soon, and I'm trying to figure out how much plant-based food you can get by with feeding everybody. Yes. See what people notice, if they're gonna have meat or not. That would be tough. Like, I think that my immediate family might be somewhat receptive. Like, everybody would try it, but like if we tried to do have like no meat or ham or anything at an event, uh, that's going to be tough. I think eventually, absolutely, it'd be great. I mean, it's going to be interesting this summer too because we are, uh, last year with COVID, we had set up a lot of things. We have like a little pool outside and grilling out and things like that. That I would definitely like to do those types of things. But if I'm not going to be grilling uh, meat, I suppose I could still get the grill out and grill vegetables. Uh, or we can still get out and cook meat for people that want it over. But overall, we're slowly switching ourselves. The kids are getting, they're eating plant based for most of their diet, and it's getting to the point where we're just not buying meat to replace. Like I had, and I explained it before, I had bought a bunch of meat while I was fasting, thinking I was going to eat a high quality carnivore or you know paleo diet. When I got done fasting, and then halfway through the fast, we kind of switched gears, and I decided to do the whole food plant based. So then uh, we ended up having a bunch of meat at our house that we still haven't really gone through, and that's been 4 or 5 months since. Well, I guess at first we didn't eat it because I was possibly going to eat it, and then it's just been slowly uh, switching to we're slowly switching the kids from a meat, having meat at their meals when they eat at home at least, to eating plant based, and so it's we've been chipping away at that meat. I don't think we have much left of it, but it's kind of funny that it lasted this long in our house. Like when I was eating meat, that would have been enough meat for maybe 2 weeks. Like we'd have gone through that between all of the meat dishes, the tacos, and all the other stuff that we eat for dinners. And So yeah, so we're trying to switch the kids over. Eventually, there's going to be a point where there's no. They're going to get to a point where there's no animal products in our house to be served as food, which is going to be kind of maybe the next step that we would have to do. Carrie said she hadn't thought of considering grilling the veggies. Yeah, on the charcoal grill, I imagine you could do some stuffed peppers or something. Uh, Grill them out there. Uh, Carrie says we use a pound a week or so for the kids, usually when you don't have anything else planned. Yeah, it's just not, we don't go through a whole lot of it through the week. We just kind of have one meal. And then we've been switching the kids over to plant based nuggets, and we've been switching them to, or just trying to get them to try like the chilies and the foods that we're eating. They're not super receptive to it, but it's slowly growing on them. And eventually, they'll get to it. Air fried asparagus is awesome. We eat. Well, my daughter will eat the air fried asparagus, definitely. Or at least one of them will. And yeah, we have that a lot. I think that asparagus might have been in season, or it's gonna be getting in season. I know ours should be sprouting now at our house. We have a small little patch of it that grows that we can kind of harvest from a couple times in the spring, and so that should be kind of shooting up here pretty soon. So but yeah, air fried asparagus is good. I like dipping it kind of in the Carrie makes a dressing that I use for everything, and so I dip that in there as well. Let me see if I have anything on my notes here or anything else on my notes for today. Just looking forward to the weekend. I guess I don't know if I finished kind of talking about. They try everything, so I'm really proud of our kids. Yeah, that's something that they've been really good about, and it's a weird dynamic with the kids right now because they know we're dieting, and so like our oldest will every now and then they'll kind of just be like, I heard you had something with salt on it. I thought you were dieting, and I'll be like, well, there's not, no, we try not to have anything with salt, but every now and then if we were to go out and eat a baked potato, they might salt the outside of the baked potato, or there might just be scenarios where we have to give a little bit, like the misos, there's sodium in that, and I've talked about that. So, and he overhears us talking, and so um they kind of they want to know what's going on. I think they appreciate that we are losing weight. It's obviously improved my ability to get around and be a dad and interact and have more fun with the kids. So overall, like I said, they're seeing positive changes happen from us because of the choices that we're making. And especially with the older kids, if we can kind of get them to realize that if they start making these choices, that things will get better. Uh, the the ones. Carrie said, "Okay, the little asparagus are popping up." So Carrie had some hummus. That's what it was. There was hummus at the house. There was some sodium in it or salt in it, but there was no oil in the hummus, and he was giving her a hard time because she was eating the hummus that had salt in it, I think is what it was. Or it might have been Carrie's mom, even. It's hard to understand the way that's written. So it might have just been that they were talking about some hummus. Because Carrie's parents are eating whole food, plant based. They're not crazy like us and cutting out the salt, oil, and sugar, which I feel like it's made a huge difference. I think that the cutting out the salt, oil, sugar for me has helped eliminate the cravings for the meat and dairy because those things don't sound good without salt, oil, sugar. So it's more of getting rid of the salt, oil, sugar and then just eating things that still taste good while not having those flavors, I think is more of the way I look at it with the diet. Because the salt, oil, and sugar for me is where all the extra calories come in my diet. I mean, I think that's obviously kind of the way it is with everybody's diet. So while it can be tough to do, uh, getting rid of sugar, obviously people do that all the time. Oil is also very difficult to get rid of, and there's a lot of people lobbying for healthy vegetable oils, but they're still not good for you. They're still liquid fat. They're still very high in calories, and so it's not worth going for them. And then the salt, which is very much less popular to give up, but I think has made as big a difference overall for me as anything. And especially when I deal with like inflammation uh, and things like that. I just feel like the sodium is from everything that we see, the sodium contributes to inflammation. So I would just prefer to avoid them altogether. And while it has been difficult, I've had great support from Carrie, who does a great job with the recipes and finding meals for us. You know, and then when I'm on my own, I just keep it simple. I had some corn today and just eat, what I can while I'm at work, and then have good meals when I come home. And I feel, like I say it all the time, I feel great. I'm going to continue to feel great. I believe I'm on the right track to get where I want to be. So, with that, though, I am going to get out of here for today. If you enjoyed the video, I'd love it if you subscribe to the channel. If you're not already subscribed, also click on the bell icon to get notifications when I do go live, which is generally at 4 p.m. on weekdays. I will be live again Monday. I don't see any reason why I won't be on Monday. I'm going to miss one day next week. I'm just not sure what day. I have an out of town meeting. And then I will, but yeah, I'll be on every 4 p.m. Central Time all next week. I have an Instagram account. It's at Fasting. That's FAHSTING. If you want to check that in there. Carrie said she just popped open her very first carton of tofu, looking to make crispy tofu with our miso ramen tonight. Okay, I guess if tofu fits the diet, we're gonna have some tofu tonight. So we'll try it out and see what it is. So we've tried that tempeh. I didn't like it, but I think that was probably just kind of also a first trial thing, or not knowing what we're doing. The only other thing that I had to talk about was the Discord. That link is down below. That will be active for 1 week. We'd love to have people come into the Discord. Let us know how things are going for you, what you're looking to do, if you're looking to lose weight or get healthier. And if you've been on a whole food plant-based diet, I'd love you to get in there and let us know your experiences as well, because that will help us keep us motivated. But I am going to head out now, guys, and I want to thank you for checking out the videos and all of the support that I get from everybody. I will be back on Monday at 4 p.m. You guys all have a great weekend. If if you're thinking about getting started on a diet, stop thinking about it and just get on it and do it. Don't wait any longer. You'll do nothing but get healthier. So, with that, everybody have a great weekend. All right, bye.